Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chloe and I have just finished my second year at the University of Northampton studying psychology. So I thought today I would talk about my second year and what it entailed, how it was, how I found it, absolutely everything second year related, my grades, the workload, and just everything about second year, like the modules that I took. So let's just get right into it. So for second year, I had to take 6 modules again. I took 5 were core, and then there was an optional module which was out of 3. So there was the human animal, psychology of education in psychology of learning and teaching in educational settings, and then there was a positive psychology. So I chose psychology of learning and teaching in educational settings, just because that was kind of where my passions lied at that moment. And then the other 5 were core, like I said. So there was biological and cognitive psychology, development and society, which is developmental and social psychology, research methods and statistics. Geez, I can't talk today. Independent practical work, which is basically likened to a mini dissertation. And then there was personality and fundamentals in psychology. And yeah, so they were my 6 modules for the year. So we are semesterized now. So semester 1 there is 3, semester 2 there is 3. So in semester 1 we did biological cognitive psychology, so like development and society, and then we also did research methods and statistics. And when I'm saying I genuinely, definitely not telling you this, and if anyone from my university or any lecturers happened to watch this, you didn't hear it, I transformed my whole timetable to have one lecturer for statistics, because I got along with her so well in first semester, like it's first year, second semester, so I was like, I want her again, because if I've done that well in first year, like I want to continue that in second year, I want to learn everything there is to know. So definitely didn't transform my whole timetable just to do that. And also, I went to like the first week of my lectures and I was by myself. Like I did not know a single person in any of these rooms. I did not recognise anyone. I don't know what happened, but I jumped from like the normal group to the other group. There's like 2 groups, in my opinion. There's definitely not. But I did not know a single person in any of these lectures. So I was like, I do not like this at all. So yeah, kind of changed my whole timetable around. But to be honest, it didn't work for me commuting anyway. The timings were a bit inconvenient and I was hitting rush hour both times. So I kind of like shifted my stats up and moved the other one down to make it all fit. So I was like doing, I mean, to be honest, I was then doing 4 hours of lectures straight. But I prefer that rather than having to like do one lecture, then miss like 6 hours, then do another lecture. Just didn't work for me. So, I mean, that was another reason I transformed my whole timetable, but it just so worked out that I ended up in one class specifically with the lecturer that I wanted, and I was with my best friend for all of my lectures, which was crazy. But yeah, so I transformed kind of my timetable at the beginning, which was all down to commuting reasons, and my lecturers were very supportive of me doing that. My timetable then was 9 till 11 was stats, and then 11 till 1 was development and society, I think. So for stats we had to do 3 assignments. So the first one was a qualitative report, which was our first qual assignment, and that scared the hell out of me because I am not a qual person. I am a maths person. I like the numbers. I like something to specifically tell me yes or no, and the numbers do that. Qual is so like, what's the word? Like, it's so down to your own perception. And I did not like that because like you could literally be writing anything and it could be wrong, but like it's not going to be interpreted as wrong because everything's right, it's just your interpretation. But I just did not like that at all. So I was like, what if they read this and they're like, that's so not what that person meant? Like, I just wasn't a fan, didn't really like it. In that qual assignment I got a B minus, so I got a 61. I was like blown away by that because qual, no idea. I did not have a clue what I was doing, and I just didn't really know, so I just kind of did the best that I could, but I was really stressed about that assignment because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But B minus, very happy with that. That's a B, so that is a 2-1. So my unis do number letters, so they do number letters. No, they don't. They really don't. They grade everything in letters. So an A is a first class, B is a 2-1, C is a 2-2, like a second class, and then D is a 2-3. I don't know like the specific like uni terms for them, but yes, I got a 2-1 in that assignment, which I was very, very, very happy with. Like I said, not a qual person, so I was just like, but yeah, hey ho. And then we did another assignment in qual, which I'm not kidding, this assignment screwed everyone over. Everyone had no idea what was going on. Like, we were all just like, what? So basically it was a project proposal, and we basically had to like pick one of 3 scenarios, and then we had to devise an experiment for them and do like all the ethical application for it. It was so odd. It was so odd doing that for an assignment. And yeah, no one really had any idea. I was constantly going to my lecturer like, I don't even know where to start. Like, what do I do? Like, what? I was like, it doesn't make sense. But thankfully it all worked out. I got an A minus in that assignment, which is a 73, which I was so happy with. I was shocked with that one because I had no idea what I was going to get. I was like, I don't know what this is going to be, not a clue. And then the final assignment for stats was a quant report. I am quite good at quant reports. I am very much a stats girly, and yeah, I was pretty good in that quant report, so I got an A, which is a 78, and yeah, I was very happy with that. Overall for that module, I got an A minus, which is a 73 overall, so very happy with that. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it. When I got into second year stats, I was like, what is going on? And then I also realised at the end of first year, I missed out on so much content. So like calculating like effect size, calculating like the number of participants that you need, I missed all of those lectures because I had an operation at the end of first year. I missed all of those lectures and I just had no idea. And I was like, how do I do this? And I was like, why don't I know this? Like, I should remember this. And then I remembered I missed all of those lectures. So I did have to ask them and be like, can you go over this again because I don't have a clue. But yeah, that was all alright. Then I also did biological cognitive. So the biological psychology essay I did on, I don't remember what I did it on. I want to say it was on like, so it was on a disorder. You had to do it on a disorder, but I just can't remember what disorder. Let me have a little look. I've just checked. So I did it on PTSD. So the title was, How Does Biological Psychology Contribute to Our Understanding of PTSD? So it wasn't an essay about the disorder. It was an essay about how biological psychology and things in biopsych affect that. So anyone that knows me and has known me longer than like 3 years has known that I did A-level biology and I absolutely hated it. I hated every second of it, and the whole way through I was like, this is giving me A-level biology flashbacks and I do not like it. And I'm not kidding. Don't get me wrong, my essay turned out so biological. Like, I was like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know what's going on. And yeah, I was like quite shocked with that assignment. I got a B minus, which is a 61, and I was very happy with that because I'm not a biopsych person. And don't get me wrong, like, me and my friends literally, so Ella is very much a biopsych person, like, she knows what's going on. So there was like 3 of us, like me, Kaylin and Ella sat there, and I was just going like, so what does this mean? And she'd be like, this means this. And then there's things that I like do understand, and I'm like, wait, so this means this, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, great. And it did, like, I'm literally like the first sentence, I'm like, hang on, what does it say? It's like, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis is central to the body's stress response and hormone production. In PTSD, HPA axis malfunctions and it becomes hyperaroused, meaning overly responsive to stress, and increases the secretion of corticosteroids, particularly cortisol, from the adrenal gland. And oh my god, I had so many references, I had so much written. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on, to be completely honest with you. But it kind of made sense to me in the end, and I actually I feel like these assignments, when they're harder and then I get invested in them and I really get in the flow, I then just don't, I want to keep going with it. I was like, this is really interesting now, let me keep going. But before that I was absolutely dreading it, but that's okay. So that module is like split in half, so you do biosec first and then you do cognitive after. So when we got onto cognitive, we had a cognitive exam, and now this exam, I think it was a little bit not very nice, because they release, so I think you do like 10 sessions, they released like 8 questions, and then you had to do, 4 would come up and you had to answer 1, I think, and then there was multiple choice as well. I think that was the exam, I can't 100% remember, but you used to have to answer 2 and they changed it to 1. So you basically have to prepare for like 6 questions or like 5 questions or something like that in order for you to at least know one of the questions that comes up, which boggled my brain, and that was so hard. I got a C+ in that assignment. Bearing in mind, I really like cognitive psychology, so I was kind of like, oh, like I'm expecting to do okay in this assignment. I was like, it's gonna be fine. But the assignment layout just threw me off completely, like, not here for it. I just kind of like left it at that point, and like I'm very happy with that. Overall, I got a B-, which is a 61, because I think they slightly like round up a little bit if you're like borderline either side. They do tend to like round it up to that next one, which is very nice of my university. Then we had development and society. So for developmental, we had a life stories assignment. So we got given, I think 3 again. We got given 3, like, what are they called? 3 life stories. Hello? What? Yeah. We got given 3 life stories, or maybe there was more than 3, I can't remember. There was a few. We got given some life stories and then we had to pick which one we wanted to do. There was like a young child with a brother, a teenager, an adult. There was a few different like things going on. I took the teenage one. It's like very, very, very long. Like, it was very hard to get started with that assignment. I had no idea how to actually start, because it was just a difficult assignment. I think I had like this massive developmental textbook, and I remember just sitting in the library. There's definitely a video of me studying somewhere, and it's like me in the library with this massive textbook just open going, oh, this applies, and just making notes of what applies and then putting it all together. And yeah, I got an A- in that assignment. I was very, very proud of that one, because that one was, like I said, really hard, and I didn't really know what to expect from that, like that grade after submitting that assignment. Like, I had no idea, because I'd never done an assignment like that before, and I was like, this is really weird. But I did it, and yeah, absolutely smashed it. I was very happy with that assignment grade. And then we moved on to social psychology. So we had a social psychology exam, and I think it was like, there was 8 questions released 2 weeks before the exam or something like that, like a couple weeks before the exam, and then you had to answer 2 of them, and it was completely like the questions that were released would be there, but you just have to answer 2 of them. So I went into that exam, did that, was very happy with that exam. Bearing in mind, this, like the cognitive and social exam were like a day, like I think it was social and then cog, and it was like a day after each other, and it literally got to the week of, and I was like, I do not know anything, like I'm not prepared for this exam, like what am I doing? Like, I was so stressed, and like I was literally at home, and I was like constantly like walking around reading these flashcards. I was like, right, so this, and like my mum kept hearing me do it, and she was like, you have to remember like so much, like, do you have to remember all those names and all those years? And I was like, yeah, like I do, I have to remember that like John said this in 1984, and that Smith said this in 2004. Like, I was like, oh my god. But the social exam, I remembered all of my references. I remembered absolutely everything. Cannot say the same for the cog. But I absolutely smashed that social exam, and I got an A, so I got 78, and I was so happy. I honestly, yeah, I did pretty well. And I feel like at the end of that social exam, I was kind of like, oh, I haven't been critical enough. Let me just add like a little comment at the end to just make sure I'm like, I wanted to make sure that I was being like extra critical to get those points, because that's what the whole of second year was about, like critical writing. And that's something that I wasn't very good at the beginning. So yeah, something that I definitely needed to work on, but I did, and I have got better at it now, I think. And I feel like I've always kind of done it, but I've never done it like, it's always been quite discreet. It's not like, do you know what I mean? It's not explicit. So I feel like that's also another thing I had to work on, like making it more like a bit like an argument, I guess. Then second semester I had to do personality and fundamentals, psychology of learning and teaching, and independent practical work. So personality or fundamentals, which this was such a weird module, and I think it's changing next year as far as I'm aware. So basically there is a film report and then an exam. So the exam is very similar to the cognitive exam, but you have to answer 2 of the questions rather than 1. So you had to prepare 6 this time. But we did the film report first. So basically there was 3 films that you could watch and then write an assignment on, and it was like The Matrix, Bridget Jones' Diary, or Demolition Man. I chose Demolition Man because I was like, everyone's going to do Bridget Jones' Diary. Everyone I knew was doing Bridget Jones, and then anyone else was doing like The Matrix. If they wanted, like, because The Matrix, they turned around and said like, oh, if you do The Matrix, you'll get like extra points because it's supposed to be harder. So everyone then freaked out, and like a lot more people did The Matrix for that reason. But I chose Demolition Man because I watched it and I was like, do you know what? I feel like this is the only one that I could watch over and over again and not get bored. And thankfully I didn't, and I did quite well in that assignment. I got a B, so I got 65. Was very, very, very happy with that. That was one of those assignments that we were all just like, this is such a weird assignment. We all had like no idea what to write. We were like, what are we analysing? And I think mine was in terms of like character development. And then we had the fundamentals side, so we got a different lecturer for that, like that end of it. And yeah, fundamentals, we had the exam, and I was so expecting. I went to every single one of these fundamentals like sessions because I was like, I do not want to miss anything. I want to be as prepared as possible. I think only near the end there was one, like a couple of sessions that I missed because I was like, I know I'm not going to answer the question on that one, like that is not one of my questions. And I was just kind of like, I physically can't. So I made sure I went to like all of the seminars and things like that, and yeah, that really helped. I got an A- in that exam, so I got 73, which is so crazy considering it was the same layout as the cognitive exam. But then I think because I was only preparing for that exam at that point, it was like all my focus was going on that one. So I think that probably helped as well. And then there is psychology of learning and teaching, which was my optional module. I'm going to do this one next because it's just the easiest. So we had to do a placement in a school for 25 hours, and we had to do an assignment on that. So that was our last assignment, and then we also had to do an intervention proposal. So my intervention proposal was for year 7s, and it was a behaviour management intervention, but based on like mental health, because basically there's a lot of research that says 90% of behaviour at that age is due to mental health, and obviously they hit puberty and things like that. So I really honed in on that, and like honed in on creating something that would help students and help teachers as well. I think it was something like, it was like a check-in thing at various points in the day. Got an A in that one, that was a 78. So I was so happy when I opened that assignment. I was literally like, oh my god, I was so shocked and so happy. And then the reflective overview. So I did my placement in a primary school in the local area to where I live, and that was just crazy. So I got an A- in that assignment. That was a 73. One thing I would say is I wish in some way that I had done it in a secondary school, because I feel like I would have had more to write. I am very much more passionate about secondary school than I am about primary. And the primary school that I went to, it was my auntie's school, but they do a lot of things right. Like, they come from an underprivileged area and they know that, so they have so many things in place to support these kids. And I was like, literally sat there and I had an online meeting with my lecturer and I was like, I don't know what to write. I was like, because I saw nothing that I'm like, I would improve that. I was like, I don't know. But I did get a 73, I got an A-, so I was very happy with that. And yeah, like I said, I did just wish that I'd done it in a secondary school, but I was also proud of myself because I could have gone back to my old secondary school, and I chose to, like, even though it was my auntie's school, I chose to go to a different school because I was like, it gives me that other experience, and then I've been somewhere else as well. If I had to do a placement again though, for a subject, I'm not doing educational psychology next year for that reason, that I don't think I'll have time to do another placement. But if I had to, I would be going to a secondary school, I have decided. So I definitely say if you have to do any placements as part of your course, please like make sure that you do them on something that you're passionate about. And then finally, the final assignment and module was independent practical work. So we did a group portfolio. So that was like, as a group, you're put into like these random groups and you have to do 3 assignments. Like, not 3 assignments, 3 like practicals, and then you have to write 3 portfolios. You have to write 2 out of the 3 up. So 2 are quant and 1 is qual, and then you pick which ones you want to write up. So I was quite lucky in the groups that I was in because I was doing quant, qual, and I already knew that I wouldn't be doing the qual because it's just not for me. Obviously I helped my group still because I wasn't going to leave them, but I was kind of like, I'm not doing it, so you know. So yeah, it gave me a bit more extra time to write things up. So we had to do a regression, an ANOVA, and then the qual was thematic analysis. So I wrote up the regression and the ANOVA, and I got an A+ in that assignment, so I got 90, which this is my second ever 90 at the uni, and I was like so shocked still. I was like, oh my god. And I literally opened it and one of my lecturers like saw me the next day and he was like, you did really well. And I was like, yeah, what? Like, what's going on? But like me and my friends, like my whole friendship group did really well on that. And then we had to do an independent project, which was basically a mini dissertation, is what everyone calls it. It's technically not, it's only like 2,500 words or something like that. But we can do it on whatever we want within reason, and I got a B-, and that's a 61. And honestly, that's a good grade. I know it's a good grade. It's not my lowest grade of the year. It's my lowest stats grade though, which makes me sound like such a diva. Like, it makes me sound so bad that I'm being like, oh, my lowest stats grade is a B-. Like, I don't mean it like that. I was slightly disheartened when I got this grade because I was like, that is my lowest stats grade, yeah, and it's on the thing that like is a test for my dissertation next year. Like, what? Like, I have to do this next year and all of a sudden I've just got B-, what's going on? So it stressed me out a little bit, but in hindsight, I'm not that annoyed about it. I got an A- overall, so I was very happy with that. Yeah, I got an A- overall, so that's the equivalent of a 73 because of the like kind of weightings of it and because my other one was a 90. Yeah, I was initially like very upset. I'm now like, do you know what, like, actually that's so good, and like I'm gonna meet with the lecturer when I go back to uni and just be like, can we go over my feedback, can we go over the assignment, just kind of tell me what I need to fit in more, and hopefully that will help me for my dissertation, because obviously now I'm at the stage where I need to start thinking for a dissertation and what I'm going to do and things like that. So yeah, and then overall for the year, if we calculate all of that, which I have been given my official grade now, so I do know like from the university the grade that I've got, and I managed to come out with the first class for second year again, which I'm overjoyed by. I'm so happy. Honestly, at one point I did not expect it. When I got that 61, I was literally thinking, things are looking worse for wear now. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get first, I think it's gonna be 2-1. And I literally like messaged my friend and I was like, I'm gonna like not be happy about this if I get 2-1. And she was like, I think it'll be a 7, like I think it'll be an A overall anyway. She was like, because the other one you got so high, like I think it'll balance out, like don't stress. And obviously I did stress, but I still got a first class overall, so I'm very, very, very happy with that. And yeah, that's like extreme. Like, second year was such a jump, and like especially at the start of the year I was literally thinking like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this? But we absolutely smashed it and we did it. I want to talk about like the workload for second year and what it was like and things like that. So second year was such a jump. don't know what happened. I all of a sudden turned around and these assignments were so hard, it was ridiculous. The deadlines were so much closer together. It was like I had an exam and then an exam the next day and an assignment due like 2 days later. Like, no, sorry, no thank you. Everything was so much closer together. It was so much more stressful. And I'd also say as well, like, you had to be reading a lot more, you had to be doing a lot more. Second year is so much about, so first year you're kind of learning how to write an assignment and do things like that and reference and whatnot. And then second year, you have to all of a sudden know how to be critical. And don't get me wrong, like there's a period where they kind of try and teach you that, but it's also something that like is very hard to teach, and I feel like not enough time is spent on it. So yeah, you have to learn how to be critical, how to make a critical argument and things like that. And I feel like that was kind of my downfall in my cognitive exam. All of a sudden you have to know how to be critical and critically analyze stuff, and it's just crazy. I'd say obviously because it is a heavier workload, you have to be so much more on it. I found myself not necessarily doing more work, because first year I 100% did way too much work, like I did not need to work that much, but like second year I think I just kind of like, what's it called, like I had to be a lot more strict with myself, because I think if I'd have let that get to me, I would have been working constantly. And don't get me wrong, like a couple of times I did do like late night study sessions, but I still had like my weekends off. Like I wouldn't tend to do that much work on Wednesday. I would do work when it came around to assignment seasons, but I wouldn't be like every single Wednesday having to do loads of work. You kind of have to be very strict with yourself of when you're going to work and when you're not going to work. Give yourself those breaks, which I learned very, very, very quickly in second year. There were more assignments this year. There weren't a lot more, but it was just like 1 or 2, I think, that had 3 assignments rather than 2. Although I guess in first year in stats we had like 4 multiple choice, which counted towards like 1 grade. So I guess like it's the same, but just a bit more higher stakes, I guess, because I think because second year actually counts in the majority of places, in the majority of universities, second year counts. So like you have to be so on it, and so like I feel like that's also why the workload increases. I feel like technically it doesn't get much worse, but because you now know, oh my god, this is counting towards my degree, like this is going to be going towards my degree, I feel like that then stresses you out a little bit. But I feel like at my uni they did say at the beginning, which I think was really nice, it only counts to like 33% of our degree at our uni. So they were like, even if you did really rubbish but did really well in third year, they were like, you can still pull it back. So like, don't stress yourself overly, because it's really not that much. Like one assignment isn't going to be that, like it's not going to have that big of an effect. So, you know, but I think it was still a lot of pressure for all of us, and we were all still like, oh my gosh. And I feel like when we didn't really know what was going on with assignments, we were then kind of like, this is stressful. Like I feel like it stressed us out a lot more. But yeah, I'd say very much like I had to be a lot more strict with giving myself free time and making sure I saw friends and stuff like that. So yeah, I did enjoy second year, even though it was a little bit stressful. I enjoyed it and I now miss it, and we're only like, we have like 2 months more to go of summer. We've done like a month and a half, and I still have the rest of July, rest of August, the whole of August, and then the majority of September. I'm not here for it. I want to go back already. I wish I could, but hey ho. So to wrap up, there was a little bit of an increase in workload in second year, which I feel like is one thing that everyone talks about. Everyone's like, oh, the jump from A levels to university, they're like, that's not too bad. And then everyone talks about the jumps from first year to second year, and everyone's like, that's awful. And I can't say I disagree. It is hard, and I feel like you get going a lot quicker as well. Like I feel like in first year there was such like a little getting used to it period. Obviously I feel like everyone kind of, you don't get like mollycoddled, but like they're there a lot more. And then second year, it's kind of like, okay, you know how to do that now, like now we're just going to introduce a few new aspects. Like it's kind of like, what's going on? But yeah, I would say I really enjoyed second year. I enjoyed the content a lot more, I think, than first year. I think it was a lot more interesting. We went into more depth. It's going to be interesting next year. I've chosen to do like development. I don't think I'm doing development. I can't remember, but I'm definitely doing social psychology next year. But like it's going to be weird like not doing biological and cognitive because they're not on part of my choice, and it's not going to like I can't remember if I'm doing developmental or not. I really can't remember, but it's going to be weird like not doing those core subjects. And for us at our uni, like third year is all about your own choices and what you've chosen to do, and that's going to be so weird. But yeah, I enjoyed second year. I would say honestly, work on having a little schedule and a routine and making sure that you're not working all the time, giving yourself some breaks and just like making sure that you're seeing friends and having fun and stuff. But you can do this. There is a huge step up, but it's honestly fine. Like you will get used to it and you will acclimatise to second year. And I feel like as well, in second year you had so much of a bigger gap. So like in between like in January where you submit your assignments and then you have a bit off before second semester, I felt like we had a lot longer then. And it did feel like in April, once we submitted our assignments and we had like the half term, like the Easter break, it felt like we actually did have a bit of a break rather than always having to be working. Whereas first year, I feel like we were working through that a lot more, but it was good. It was very, very, very good. I feel like me and my friends really embraced second year. Like once we got into like the studying mindset and like doing all that work together, we had it down. We went into the silent study so much, and like genuinely when I got there early some mornings, I'd go like at 8 o'clock and I'd be in the silent study until 9, and it'd be like the best time of my life because like I'd see the sunrise, or like it'd just be a really nice scene, like there wouldn't be many people around. I honestly loved it and I would really recommend. So yeah, so that's that. But I did like second year. You will get used to it. You will acclimatise. It might take a bit of time, but you will. And it's just going to take a bit more work, and it's just going to have to be, I think you have to learn how to prioritise more. I think that's the thing. I think you have to learn like what is worth your time and what isn't. I'd say for like stats, I was always doing that pre-session reading, but then for like other stuff, I might not have done it as much, and I might have kind of skimmed it a bit more rather than actually focused and like really dedicated so much time to it, kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna end this video here because this has been a long one. That is me done talking about second year. I'm very, very, very proud of myself for the grades that I achieved and everything like that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon for a brand new video. If you have any videos that you want to see, comment them down below. If you have any questions or anything like that, drop them down below and I will answer them as well.